Asterisk the sound of tearing paper cut through the bank lobby like a gunshot. Every conversation stopped. Pens froze midair. A security guard instinctively shifted his weight. And standing in the center of it all was a tall black man in a plain gray jacket, watching silently as the bank manager ripped his check clean in half. $10 million, gone in a careless, arrogant motion. The manager didn't even flinch. She dropped the pieces onto the counter like trash and looked up at him with a tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Sir," she said, her tone sharp and dismissive, "this isn't funny. We don't accept fake checks. You're disturbing my customers." The man didn't raise his voice. He didn't argue. He simply looked down at the torn check, then back at her, calm as still water. "Are you finished?" he asked. A few customers exchanged glances. Someone whispered, "Did she really just do that?" Another shook their head slowly, already convinced they knew how this would end. The manager folded her arms. "Security," she called out loudly, "please escort this man out." That was the moment her boss walked in, and when he saw who was standing at that counter, his face drained of color. "Sir," he said, his voice trembling with respect. The man's name was Elijah Carter, though very few people in that bank knew it. To them, he was just another customer who didn't look like he belonged in a marble-floored building filled with tailored suits and quiet power. His jacket was clean but old. His shoes were worn at the edges. No watch flashed on his wrist. No entourage followed him. What they couldn't see was the weight he carried, the kind that comes from years of being underestimated, ignored, and quietly outworking everyone who doubted you. Elijah had grown up in a neighborhood where dreams were fragile things. His mother worked 2 jobs and still came home exhausted, smiling only when she thought he wasn't looking. His father left early, not out of cruelty, but out of defeat. Elijah learned quickly that the world would not hand him anything. If he wanted something, he would have to build it himself. He was good with numbers. Not the kind you memorize, but the kind you feel. Patterns. Risks. Timing. While other kids played video games, Elijah studied markets at the public library. When the librarian asked why a kid his age wanted books on finance, he simply said, "Because one day I won't need permission." Years later, he started a logistics company with borrowed money and a second-hand laptop. No investors believed in him. Banks rejected his loan applications more times than he could count. He was told to start smaller, to be realistic, to know his place. So he did what he always did, he worked. He lost contracts. He slept in his office. He nearly quit more than once. But slowly, quietly, his company grew. 1 warehouse became 3. 3 became 10. His software streamlined shipping in ways competitors couldn't replicate. Eventually, the same corporations that once ignored his emails were begging for meetings. The deal that changed everything came on a Tuesday morning. A multinational firm bought his company outright. $10 million. The check sat in his jacket pocket as he walked into the bank that afternoon, not with pride, but with relief. It wasn't about showing off. It was about security. About finally exhaling after decades of holding his breath. The bank was clean, bright, and cold in that way expensive places often are. The manager, a woman named Karen Whitmore, watched him approach the counter with narrowed eyes. She had been in banking for 15 years and believed she could spot trouble instantly. When Elijah placed the check on the counter, her expression shifted, not to curiosity, but suspicion. "Where did you get this?" she asked. "I sold my company," Elijah replied evenly. She laughed once, sharp and humorless. "Sir, checks of this size don't just appear. Especially not like this." Elijah felt the familiar tightening in his chest. The old, exhausting feeling of being judged before he spoke another word. He stayed calm. "You can verify it. Call the issuing bank." Karen picked up the check, examined it briefly, then shook her head. This is clearly fraudulent. Before Elijah could respond, she tore it in half. That was when the lobby went silent. Robert Hastings, the regional director, had not planned to stop by that branch. A cancelled meeting left him with an unexpected hour, and he decided to check in. As he stepped inside, he sensed tension immediately. Then he saw Elijah. Robert stopped walking. Every memory rushed back at once: the late-night strategy calls, the negotiations, the man who refused to be intimidated by boardrooms full of executives. The man whose company had just reshaped an entire industry. He moved quickly to the counter. "What's going on here?" Robert asked. Karen turned, relieved. "Oh, Mr. Hastings. This man was trying to cash a fake check. I handled it." Robert looked down at the torn pieces on the counter. Then back at Elijah. "Sir," he said softly, respectfully, "I'm so sorry." Karen frowned. "Sir?" Robert didn't look at her. "Elijah Carter," he continued, "we were expecting you. I didn't realize you'd be coming to this branch." The blood drained from Karen's face. Elijah met Robert's eyes. "I just wanted to deposit my check." Robert turned sharply to Karen. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" She stammered. I thought, you thought," Robert said, his voice cold now. "Based on what?" Silence. The customers watched, stunned, as the power in the room shifted completely. Robert took off his jacket and placed it gently over the torn check pieces. "Sir, we will fix this immediately. And we will apologize, properly." Elijah nodded once. "I'm listening." What followed wasn't loud or dramatic. There was no shouting. No public humiliation. Just accountability. Robert explained, in front of staff and customers, exactly who Elijah was and what his company had achieved. He acknowledged the bank's failure, not as a misunderstanding, but as a prejudice. Karen tried to defend herself, but every word only revealed more about her assumptions. The bank issued a formal apology. The check was reissued within hours. Karen was placed on immediate leave pending investigation, but Elijah wasn't interested in revenge. "I don't want her fired because of me," he said quietly. "I want her to learn." Robert nodded. "She will." Before Elijah left, a young black boy who had been sitting with his mother approached him. "Mister," he said shyly, "are you really that rich?" Elijah smiled. "Rich enough to know this," he said gently. "Never let anyone decide what you're worth." The boy nodded like he'd just been given a secret. The story spread quickly. Not because of the money, but because of the moment. Because of the way dignity met disrespect and didn't flinch. Because a man who had every reason to explode chose calm, and in doing so, exposed the truth more clearly than anger ever could. Elijah deposited his money, but what he really invested that day was something far greater: proof that quiet strength still matters. That success doesn't need to announce itself. And that one word, spoken too late, can reveal everything about how the world really works. And for everyone who heard the story, the message was impossible to ignore. Never judge a person by what they look like when you don't know what they've built.